Hey, everybody. If you were WooCommerce, for example, you could just simply say something like sell things online and everybody will immediately get it. It's clear, it solves the problem, they understand the value right away. But think back to when Slack first came on the market. Early on, people had no idea what they were all about. It was like, is that chat? Is that messaging? Is this a social thing? Is this just another tool? I don't know. But I think what made it spread wasn't necessarily the features so much, but Slack showed up with a very clear enemy and a really bold stance. They said email is broken, inboxes are killing productivity, and work communication needs a replacement. Journalists at that time called Slack the email killer. Teams felt that pain immediately, and suddenly Slack made sense to everybody without much of a demo at all. That is the power of positioning. That's what we're going to talk about on the show with you today. This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights, product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show. Hey everybody, I am Matt Cromwell, product creator and founder of WP Product Talk.
And I am Zack, Katz, founder of Gravity Kit.
And before we get started, I want to say that we are on a road to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers. And the easiest way for you to help us is to hit subscribe right now. It takes just a second and it makes a really big difference. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, and a huge thanks to Freemius for being our exclusive growth partner on the road to 10,000 subscribers. If you don't know about Freemius, Freemius helps software makers grow, monetize, and succeed. Freemius is a merchant of record platform where they handle everything around selling software like checkout, payments, subscriptions, licensing, updates, global tax compliance, so you can focus on building amazing products.
Cool. Announcements out of the way. Today we want to talk about positioning, and we want to do that with our special guest, Nathan Tyler. Nathan, hey, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Nathan, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Please tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been in the WordPress game for a long time. I ran a web agency building lots of WordPress sites, built a few WordPress plugins, the main one being Simply Schedule Appointments, built a couple SaaS products, the most recent one being BlinkMetrics, and we'll get into a little bit later, may have accidentally fallen back into agency life somewhat by accident.
It happens.
Thanks so much for coming on, Nathan. Folks, if you are here watching this live on YouTube right now, use that comment section. Ask your questions. If you have questions or problems with positioning yourself, put them in there. We will highlight them and answer them live on the show, or we'll just make Nathan answer all of them because he's the expert this time around. So let's get into it. So Nathan, this whole subject came up when you and I were chatting, and we were talking about BlinkMetrics and the subject of you were talking about the problem you're trying to solve. And then both of us, I think, almost at the same time was like, it's all about positioning. Like that's a difficult subject. Tell me a little bit about that problem. Tell me about that context at BlinkMetrics and what you're doing about it.
Sure. So I think some problems are very easy to frame, like Simply Schedule Appointments is basically Calendly, but all in WordPress. You can say it in a few words and everybody kind of gets it, and maybe they want it or they don't. BlinkMetrics came from a different place, which is maybe not something that everybody leaps out of bed thinking about reporting and KPIs and scorecards and reporting dashboards. And often what you are reporting on is different, depending on each business. It's critical to businesses growing and scaling their operations, but exactly the pain that a person might feel to jump over the ledge and say, okay, yes, I want to do this, is different. And so nailing down that positioning has been quite a journey for me to figure out exactly where those places are, and how to simplify the message so people get it and can do that same thing that we did with the other positioning, which is like, okay, I kind of get what this thing is. and I either don't care or I am curious and I want to learn more, which is, I think, the main goal of the positioning.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, positioning often starts from our own pain points as developers, without even considering necessarily how we're going to market it. But it's like, okay, I need this done. I need this done now, and maybe leading up to this point in time, it's been okay because Google search kind of aligns with the queries that people were asking. Like, how do I do this? Well, you do that using this. Like, but I feel like the shift to AI and the shift to AI answers means that we have to position things a lot better, so that it's answering a broader question than the exact search term match. And so that when people get to the website, based on the AI AI suggestions or the Google search results, that they know that that fit is for them. And there are a lot of different problems with that, with WordPress specifically, because we have so many different types of people who are building the websites. And so you have to make sure that you have the messaging and the positioning for the people, like the builders or the end users, depending on who is going to be buying and suggesting your product.
I love it. Honestly, another subject we should maybe have Nathan on at some point for is your product brand name, because you have this thing, Nathan, where you are calling the thing exactly what it is so often. One product you didn't mention is Draw Attention. That was one of the early products I remember you for. Draw Attention, folks, is basically like a I don't want to say a heat map. It's not really a heat map. Focus points. Like, you create these focus points on an image, and when you click on them, pop-ups can come up and things like that. It's highly complex, but like the name Draw Attention, I thought was so clever. And then you have Simply Schedule Appointments as well, and then BlinkMetrics. In my mind, that's like, metrics in a blink. Like, was that the? Can you talk a little bit about how you thought about BlinkMetrics? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I've worked in my agency life. I did a lot of custom data pipelines and custom reporting dashboards. It would be 5 or 6 figure projects that would last, 6 months to 2 years. And what I've seen is that every small business doesn't have any of these fancy dashboards. You don't hire a data scientist until employee 100. So most companies just have spreadsheets, or they have 12 Chrome tabs that they go check all the reports and all their different tools. And so if a small business is going to engage data and use it meaningfully, it has to be quick. They have a million things to do. And the whole idea is that, in the blink of an eye, at a glance, you can have your cup of morning coffee and you can see the numbers you need to see, each morning. You can see everything at a glance as you close out the month or as you close out a quarter. It has to be quick and exactly the view that those people need. They don't have time to kind of bounce around and just do analysis for a whole day. So
Totally.
a lot of it's about speed.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like you're thinking about positioning even as you're naming your products, which I think is really great. I want to come back to Nathan in a little bit, but Zach, I feel like we chatted about this before. I was glad that you were a co-host today, because I feel like positioning for Gravity Kit, for Data Kit, for Trusted Login, which you don't talk about a lot, like each of these need a lot of context. How have you thought about positioning for your products?
Yeah, part of the way to do positioning right is to think about each one of the customer profiles and their pain points, and come up with what their worldview is, and maybe creating a villain that they like, what they don't like the most, and saying how you solve that pain point, and then identifying the pricing. And like, positioning is not just the customer profile, it's also about like the market that you're in, and what other products they're looking at, and your pricing in relationship to that. And then it's also the different decision making points, like the different roles that they are in. So like who they have to convince, and it's so many different things all in one. And we do not do that well. I do not do that well. I'll speak for myself. So when doing Trusted Login, the positioning was you have to say why. We chose to say why the other login without password options were not good, and they're not good because if you have a link that is a login, it's sharing your password essentially. So it's not secure. And then you'll have to address the customer support side of things, where if making it easier to provide customer support, and like talking about how Trusted Login integrates with your support desk and integrates with your plugin. So it's one click to grant access to a website. So it's not only more secure, it's also easier for customer support. None of that matters to the decision makers. The decision makers ask, how is this going to save my team time and money? It's a pain in the neck to grant access to websites and like solve that problem for me. So the positioning of Trusted Login is downplaying the security aspect of it, even though it is secure. Chris Lemma gave me that feedback and said, nobody cares about security. They just want things to be easier and better. So he really didn't think the security thing was important to mention at all, even though it's one of the things that Trusted Login solves really well. Nathan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think definitely as developers, we focus on the technical aspects that are very important, but other people may just assume or take for granted, right? Like they're going to assume that it's secure. But
right. They should not assume that.
No.
But they do, yeah.
Yes, there's lots of shoulds, and I ran into some of those as well. I think as you were talking about competition and like how the decision gets made and how they're perceiving it, I ran into that with BlinkMetrics because there were a number of people. I was selling it as a SaaS subscription, and there are, for many people, $1,000 a month is a huge investment. It's a very expensive software, but at the same time, they may be paying somebody $100,000 a year to do the same job. Salaries get thought of differently, and also bringing on like a project, like a consultant to execute something is also thought differently. They may think nothing of budgeting $10,000 to build, a reporting dashboard custom, and they may hire somebody for $100,000 a year, and one of their main responsibilities will be building this thing, but they won't pay $1,000 a month for software. So I think some of the positioning too actually gets into the packaging and like how you're going to deliver the thing is also part of how what you have to think through with positioning.
Yeah. I'll say from my experience with GiveWP, I'll say one of the things that we went back and forth on when it came to positioning was essentially something that a lot of WordPress folks think through is, should we be messaging at the agency or at the end client? And everyone thinks through that because everybody recognizes, most all plugin shops recognize how significant the agency is in the plugin decision-making process for any given website, particularly in the nonprofit space. There's very, very, very many nonprofits who are not building out their own websites at all. They're outsourcing that to an agency, and they're like, and we need to do donations. We don't care what you choose, just pick something that works for us. So if we made the GiveWP website all about like, serve your clients best with our donation plugin, like we'd probably get a bunch of agency clients. But maybe at the expense of the millions of charities that are out there. So we tried to think about how could we have our cake and eat it too. And at the end of the day, we decided that, and I think it was a winning strategy in reflection, we decided that if we make all of our positioning and messaging all about the success of a nonprofit fundraising effort, then we get that client and we win the agency. Because what we wanted was that when that agency lands on our website, they don't see a tech tool. They see their client on our website. They see, oh, this is exactly what my client wants. And that way we felt like we were going to get basically two birds with one stone, essentially. And over the years, I feel like that's gone actually really, really well. And that positioning ended up impacting the way that we wrote our blog articles, the way that we built out our features, everything ended up being starting with that main focus of what does success look like for nonprofits who are doing online fundraising, um, and how do they describe these things in their own words, and how can we optimize that for them. And we have plenty of agency clients at GiveWP over the years, and they often say, "Yeah, my client loves it," and they're so thankful for it. So,
And I think that there's a large aspect there of making sure that people see themselves in your product on your website, in your screenshots, in your testimonials. Uh, your marketing materials really show who you expect your best clients to be. And I think
mhm.
when it comes to positioning, uh, having a freemium model is a large statement about how
Yep,
you're positioning yourself.
yep,
You're positioning yourself as an entry level, possibly as appealing to an entry level market, as opposed to having paid only, and that sets another bar. But if you're paid only and you start at $20 a year, that's different than starting at $300 a year. So I think that when you're positioning yourself, you got to look around and say, like, who do I want as customers, and really narrow into that. And knowing that if you are targeting hundreds of dollars a year customers, you are leaving a lot of customers on the table, but they are lower annual revenue customers. Uh,
yep.
yeah,
That's really important. I want to back up just a little bit. And there is a distinction that I want to make clear to everybody between messaging and positioning. And Zach, that was a great example of positioning, not just simply messaging. You're saying that this is the lane that we run in. This is the type of segment that we are targeting. And similarly, at Give in particular, our tagline was always democratizing generosity, and that was a call out to WordPress's motto. So we were like really positioning ourselves as a WordPress solution, not a SaaS solution specifically. But we also really leaned in the early days. We really leaned in on owning your own donor data. That was really important to us, because the competition that we had at the time was mostly SaaS platforms, and really expensive SaaS platforms. So positioning ourselves as like, don't share your donor data with random third parties who might be selling that off to advertising agencies or other things like that, because that did happen back in the day. It doesn't really happen with the big SaaSes anymore. But we were positioning ourselves as a GPL, distributed product, as in opposition to the SaaSes. This is the kind of thing I could talk about for forever. One more quick example. As things evolved and changed over time, SaaSes also got a lot cheaper. So our advantage of being more affordable as a whole really started to get eroded, and so they had these really large all-in-one solutions that also were a lot more affordable than they used to be. Um, so we had to start really leaning in on build any fundraising campaign that you want, because even though they were big all-in-one solutions, they still, when it came to the way that you build out your fundraising pages, were pretty cookie cutter overall. Whereas with WordPress, you can customize it to do whatever you want and make it look however you want it to look. So all these things are just highlighting different ways that you're like, as opposed to this, you can do this with us. Trying to distinguish and differentiate what kind of customers you're looking for. Long-winded. Sorry, Zach, you were going to say something.
Oh, well, I wanted to ask Nathan because on the BlinkMetrics website, which is blinkmetrics.com, y'all should check it out. You position the enemy as spreadsheets. So you say,
Mm,
take your business reporting out of spreadsheets for good. One of the things that I've seen people do is say, compare with, like, think of a generic medicine on the shelves. It says, like, compare with Tylenol.
mhm.
So you, like, it's kind of like Tylenol, but it's cheaper. Um, what Who is your enemy at BlinkMetrics, and how did you decide that like spreadsheets are the issue that you really wanted to get away from?
Yeah, I think because small businesses don't have data scientists on staff. They don't typically have nice automated reporting dashboards. Spreadsheets is the way, right? If anybody's trying to bring sanity to their business, somebody in that business copy paste once a week into a spreadsheet from these different places, and then it gets fancier, and somebody sets up Zapier, and the Zapier Zap is pushing rows into a table, and you've got VLOOKUPs, and there's usually only one person in the organization who even knows all of the pieces. And if that Zapier Zap breaks 8 months from now, like maybe even the person who built it doesn't remember, and it's always this kind of internal Frankenstein project. And I think most people can relate to that. They can also usually point me to the person who has the spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is the perfect blueprint for what should be nice automated reporting. Because even if all that works, there's a lot of manual effort and a lot of things to go wrong and break. And if that person's sick, it doesn't happen. You are still limited. Like, you can't make that spreadsheet 10 times more complex without making it 10 times more work. You can't segment it by customer or by employee or by product line. You can't look at it weekly and monthly and quarterly. You can't look at year over year changes quarterly. It's all this work, but it's still severely limited in a lot of ways. And I did actually have some conflict with deciding about spreadsheets, because I think some people kind of love their spreadsheets. They're very proud of it.
People who love spreadsheets.
And they're very proud of it. And there is kind of this sense of like, oh, like I've built this view that shows me things. But I think at some point that crosses a line for somebody where it becomes this burden they have to maintain, or the first or second or third time it breaks. Then they're like, I kind of love and hate this thing. I want this information. I don't want to spend my life filling this thing out. I want to actually be analyzing it, or, and making a better decision, or getting proactively alerted, when these things happen, as opposed to kind of having to always go in and monkey with this spreadsheet. So,
and who are you positioning against? Like, how do you choose your pricing, and how do you choose like who you're like? I assume if people are looking into reporting, they're looking at a bunch of different things like Microsoft BI and other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's been one of the challenges in our positioning, is I think we're filling a gap that's a good opportunity, but there's not a lot of straight up competition, because basically you're going to hire a super expensive agency and build out, or you're going to hire internally. And that's often like we bump into people. There's somebody technical in the company. Maybe they have this spreadsheet and they're drowning and they're ready. Or maybe there's somebody who's like, okay, we got to try to build this in Looker Studio, is often one of the first attempts, or a Power BI, or Metabase, any of these things that are kind of approachable to a technical person. And then they kind of find out, like, actually there's this whole other jungle of necessities. Like, Looker Studio can make a pretty graph, but how do I get my Help Scout data or my WordPress purchase data into Looker Studio? Well, actually that's quite complicated. You have to use the API and pull it in somewhere, and rate limits, and you got to clean up the data, and you got to all of this. And then Looker Studio is just the visualization piece. It's like one of 3 or 4 pillars that you need. So positioning has been challenging, because what I described doesn't fit into 3 or 4 words. But custom reporting dashboards is kind of the thing that we are delivering at the end of the day, and that's often, people do know that that's what they're looking for. So we try to catch people at various stages of that journey, but it is tricky to nail down.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit. We were talking before the show about some pivoting that you're doing based on these positioning experiments, and then listening to customer feedback. You're in the middle of a big shift. Is this shift done? Are you okay talking about this?
Yeah. It's done. I've been kind of soft doing it in conversations one-on-one for the last couple of months, and then we just went ahead and made the official shift. Nice. So one of the things around positioning is it's all about assumptions, right? You're saying 3 or 4 different words, and like people are kind of like deciding, what is this thing? Is it for me? Do I care? All very quickly. And one of those assumptions is like the delivery model. SaaS software is thought of very different than hiring a consultant, or an agency to do a thing. And there's a lot of assumptions rolled up in that. And we actually operate much closer to an agency model. We build exactly a custom thing that somebody wants to show them everything in their business that's difficult or impossible to answer. We build a reporting dashboard in 30 days. We meet with them once a week. We staff a data analyst or data engineer to build it during those 30 days. But when we were positioning as a SaaS product, like people, it's a huge uphill battle to convince them of that, because there's some built-in assumptions. SaaS is, support's going to be terrible. Onboarding is going to be a joke. Like, we can say all these things, we give great support. We're going to hold your hand and help you in onboarding. But even in my second or third conversation with people, there would be a moment where they'd say, "Oh, you're going to build this for me? I thought I was going to have to learn this platform, and it was going to be this big project. And it says it 5 different places on our site, and we build it for you and 100% done for you in 30 days, and like it's everywhere." But people just think of software very differently. So we've actually kind of finally stopped fighting that and embraced an agency model, which is people have assumptions about agencies, which is they're going to build it for me and they're going to deliver a thing, a deliverable, and then maybe there's ongoing support options, or maybe there's not. But we're making that shift to that model, and it's going a lot smoother.
Nice.
People kind of understand that model much more easily.
Well, it feels like exactly the hope and the goal of correct positioning is that it would just resonate a ton more with the audience, and it would remove a lot of the friction of adoption or of signing up in the first place. I mean, it's early days, but is that what you're sensing and feeling is happening already?
Yeah, because with the SaaS model, I would have a conversation that was going pretty well, and we get to the pricing, and literally like this verbatim was like, "Oh, I thought this was a thing you were going to build for me, and then we were going to be done or something." And so that kind of confusion was really problematic. And I think the mental accounting of like, I'm going to have the weight of this $500 or $1,000 subscription, forever feels heavy, and it feels like a big decision that would get put off. But people would much rather spend, instead of saying, "Hey, $500 a month," it's just $5,000. We build it, you own it. We can show you how to set it up. We can probably host it 10 times more effectively, and we have all this other stuff, but a much lower ongoing cost. It's much closer to a website model, which is, we're going to build you a WordPress website, and then you can go host it elsewhere, or we can host it and manage it and do updates and everything for you for a very reasonable cost.
So they can actually take your BlinkMetrics setup and host it somewhere else?
Some of it. So we've pivoted some of our custom reporting dashboards, like the main core component actually can be self-hosted. It doesn't really make much sense. There's nobody who could host it cheaper than us, but like just the fact that it's a choice is, 90% of the people have chosen for us to host it anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it is a choice just fits more in line with the thinking, because they're a bit of an education process. The same thing with websites. If you sell a website, people think it's free afterwards, and it's like, well, it has to be on a server somewhere, and maybe a fast server if you have lots of traffic. And if you have an e-commerce store and lots of dynamic things, you need a bigger server, and you kind of have that conversation and education process with the client, along the way. And we can do the same thing on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Matt, how much do you think addressing objections is part of positioning?
Addressing objections?
Yeah, like Nathan was saying, people would say, "I don't want the ongoing costs," or I want to be able to help it host it myself. I want to be able to customize after it's built. I don't want to have to build it myself. Like, is that positioning?
No, I think it's feedback that maybe the positioning was off in the first place. That's how I would think, and I think that a little bit of what Nathan is saying is that they did get some feedback that was more like, "Well, this isn't exactly the way I want it," and they found that feedback to be valid and important, and so they adjusted. And they're early enough. They're early enough in the product and the company that they can do that kind of significant pivoting now. And ideally, that means that they've regrounded correctly, and they won't have that kind of feedback going forward. Now, there might be future negative feedback that comes in. Everybody has feedback that's like, oh, it doesn't do this thing that I want, or oh, it doesn't do that thing that I want. In those cases, it's easy to frame that feedback in like, well, that is a valid feature request that we should do, and we can speak to that better in the future. Or it's a validation of like, well, they're just not our customer.
Right.
So, ideally, if you're getting that kind of like, the whole thing is not the way I want it to be, well, then either they're just absolutely not your customer at all, or there's something wrong with your website that you didn't message your positioning very well, and you're attracting the wrong people, um, or there is something foundational that you have to pivot on, which I love this example that Nathan's brought up. So.
Yeah, I had a call recently with a founder when I was demoing their SaaS, and I was really interested in it. It's like build your own documentation by turning a video into step-by-step how-to guides and like automatically building your library. And it was exactly the kind of thing that I'm really focused on right now at GravityKit. And I said, well, do you have an API, or are you able to export these as like Markdown files or HTML, or can I connect with Zapier so I can actually like host it on my own website? And he's like, yeah, you're not the right customer for us.
Yeah.
I felt really upset because like so rarely do people say that.
Yeah.
I think he said it very directly. He said, you're not our target customer.
Yeah.
We are looking for people who don't want to do it themselves, who want it all to be hosted by us and to be done automatically. And I'm like, well, I still want to find a way to hack your product because it's really cool.
They're like, nope. Yeah, that's a good one.
One of the things that go ahead, Matt.
No, you go.
One of the things that we're dealing with at GravityKit, and this has been over the course of the past couple of years now, is for Gravity View is our flagship product, where you take Gravity Forms entries and you could display it on the front of your website and turn it into a directory that people can edit themselves and export and chart and things like that. The problem is that is becoming increasingly easy to do with other tools, including Hello AI. Like AI makes that really easy, where you can say, code me a thing that turns Gravity Forms entries into a table. There is no moat there. There is no reason why you would pay for us to do it, other than having excellent support and also ongoing updates. So one of the things that we realized was that our target customer was going to be more and more advanced and more sophisticated in the requests that they have, which means that we need to do a better job of enabling them to build powerful apps that connect to the different parts of our product suite, and that we need to get ready for our support team to be ready to support more complex implementations of our products, where they are connecting more pieces and there are more deep, like in-depth bugs. So we've been, over the course of the past 2 years, dealing with fewer simple questions because we've added a bunch of documentation over that time to address these questions. But more and more, we are building apps and powerful things that replace, a bunch of other SaaS products built with GravityKit with your own data. But that transition into build powerful apps with Gravity Forms data it's been tough to communicate the value there. Where it's like Gravity Forms app builder is GravityKit. But it's not just saying it, it's also shifting. Our pricing model has gotten more expensive because we are now enabling more powerful things, and we need to do more support to support that. And it's also, our new website looks more professional. It looks like a little dark mode-y. We added, we have recently relaunched our website to look more professional. So it's not just a matter of saying we're doing things differently now. It's also implementing structural changes to back up that pivot, to be more resilient to AI incursion, and also to address a power user customer that we found were our higher value customers in the first place.
That's cool. That's another really great example. I mean, it sounds like you are coming back to your positioning, your original positioning, because of a new existential threat, essentially.
Yeah.
Like you're like, hey, people can vibe code this functionality, and we're not going to survive if we are just this utility.
They're
Um,
gonna think they can vibe code it.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, even if you have if your customers have the thought, "Oh, I can do this myself," and Nathan and I had a call about BlinkMetrics a year ago, or like a few months ago, and I was like, "This is amazing. This is exactly what we need." And in the back of my mind, I'm like, $500 a month. Maybe we could do it ourselves. We have a meta-based installation. Like, I don't know if it's the right choice. At 5,000 one time, I'm thinking, well, maybe Nathan and I should have another conversation.
Literally, that happened before the call. He was like, "Now it's $5,000 a pop," and Zach was really like, "Oh, I'm interested."
Yeah,
I saw the
let's
flip
talk.
happen immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been done in 30 days.
It would have been done, and it would have been great, and I would have been very happy already. Yeah,
11 months ago, Zach. You
I
spent the
know.
full 11 months thinking you could vibe
I'm
code a
blaming
product.
Nathan for his positioning.
Hey, we have a cool comment here from Nick. He says, maybe it would help to hear if or how thoughts about positioning impact product development, or is positioning really strictly a marketing or go-to-market concerns? I mean, I feel like we touched on this a little bit, both in terms of like how we had to, both Nathan and Zach have had to go back to their positioning and how that has impacted their product directly. One of my favorite examples ever was Pippin Williamson with Easy Digital Downloads forever ago. He had this great way always of like really synthesizing keen marketing insight down to like simple examples. He was just really good at that. And one thing he said all the time was like, Easy Digital Downloads is about downloading digital products. And he was like, I can't make it more simple than that. We still have people to this day. This was years ago, but he said we still have customers to this day asking us to implement a shipping add-on, and he was like, "I'm never going to do that. That is not how we have positioned our product." And that was how he talked about it all the time. Was if I do that, I kind of violate my positioning of what my product is all about. Um, and it's not that it impacted what he should build, but it definitely impacted what he should not build. And I think that clarity and that kind of like ability to say no to certain feature sets was really really important and foundational to Easy Digital Download success way back in the day. Personally, that's, I don't know, do either of you resonate with that or have a good example?
I recently we have migrated our issue tracking from GitHub to Linear, in part because we wanted to have more functionality, such as the concept of initiatives. In Linear, you can set an initiative and associate tickets from across different repos to address an initiative. You can also have an initiative be like kind of a product market fit question, like for have an ideal customer profile and say that this initiative is associated with them. So like we deal with a lot of educational users, a lot of government users, so we could create in Linear a government profile, education profile, and say that this pull request or this product like feature request is directly associated with benefiting them, so that we can better align our initiatives around making more money, reducing number of bugs, decreasing time for onboarding, and say that this is for this customer specifically.
Mhm.
And I think that um, aligning positioning and while developing is a really good thing. It just mattered for us. It was a matter of having the right tools, and Linear, I think we're on the right path there.
That's
How
cool.
about you, Nathan?
Yeah, I was thinking of the example of the founder that you talked to. Maybe could have been more tactful, but in a positive spin is like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to build a happier app. I'm not going to build an API. I'm not going to build all these things. And he's like, this is our position is part of who it's for. It's not for the technical people that want to do it themselves. I'm for this other person. Within my products, like with Simply Schedule appointments, like we've had that repeated conversation because there's always that pull from customers and your power users, and we've had to decide, Simply Schedule Appointments is for simply scheduling appointments. It's not for tour, VIP ticket selling and, oh, I have 17 tickets of this and it has to be 3 adults and 2 kids and packages and all of these things. Like, there are other tools that are better for that. Like, if you have, like, one of our things is defining what an appointment is. There's a lot of people who look at like the events calendar and Simply Schedule Appointments and think we're competitors, and like those are completely opposite to solve. Like, if the person running the website decides the date and time, it's an event, and there's tickets and there's inventory and there's all that. If the person visiting the website is setting the date and time, it's an appointment, and that's what we do. So I think there's elements like that, and all along the way, like, we decided we're not going to be the enterprise scheduling tool if you have 80 employees and you're putting their shift schedule and their Monday through Friday and their days off, and we're not doing all of that. Right?
Yeah.
Though pay attention to those requests, because those are opportunities for partnerships. Those are opportunities for acquisitions, like either you acquiring another product that does what they're requesting, or they could be acquiring you. That is valuable feedback, but it's also valuable feedback that you're not positioning yourself hard enough to say that you don't do what they're requesting.
Yeah, and we've done that with integrations. Like, we'll integrate with an events tool, not going to build it ourselves and just cram it into this product. And the same thing with form building. We have a very simple form where you can say, here's their name, phone number, what you can ask them 3 questions. But if you want to do more than that, we have a Gravity Forms integration. So if you want 3 pages and conditional logic, and you want the appointment to be step 3 only if they have a budget of this level, right? Then we just show up as a field in Gravity Forms. And so that's a great integration, but we're not going to build a form builder into our plugin.
Right. We have some great questions coming in from Nick again. One of them is, they're going to think they can vibe code it 100%. Another part of how the value add shifts. In the next year, the villain might be changing from spreadsheets to vibe coded apps.
For sure it will, yeah.
And I think that that's something that we as a WordPress industry are all going to be needing to pivot to talk about how use our product, don't use vibe coded apps for this reason.
100%.
Agreed.
He's got another good comment here, or question, actually, from Nick. Looking for some examples. How has understanding the positioning of your existing product helped you know how to build it further? Like, what features to say yes to, not just say no to?
We have some other WP product topic episodes that are about that. And I think that positioning this episode, we should not go into that too much. But there is we have feature requests episode that talks about like how to address feature requests and how to know whether feature requests are going to be a benefit to your product or a hindrance to long-term sustainability for it.
There's part of this though, like
I thought I was making a little joke.
I think going into customer feedback, it would be like a deviation from the topic. But at the positioning level, for example, I think a lot of folks are launching their product from day one as like an MVP, perhaps, and they don't have all the features right out of the gate. And in that case, I think their positioning is going to help them to navigate what should be on the roadmap in the future. Our biggest example I give, when we launched, we did not launch with recurring donations because we were heavily borrowing from a lot of the payment gateway logic of Easy Digital Downloads, who also didn't have recurring at the time. And so But we had to have it on our roadmap. And then what happened, like you're saying, Zach, is that immediately after we launched, we got some adoption and people liked the product and everything. But they're like, oh, hey, but what about recurring donations? And we're like, yes. It's on the roadmap. We were definitely like saying 100% we're going to say yes to this. Another way that it impacted it down the line was when we launched, crypto donations was not a thing. It was not a thing. People did not do that when we launched GiveWP. But within the first 4 years after launching, crypto donations became a big thing. But because we knew exactly how we wanted to support our nonprofit organizations, whether or not to support crypto donations was was a no-brainer. It was like, yes, of course we're going to do that as well, as soon as there was a integration partner that would handle it well.
Lots of people leaving Dogecoin in their wills.
Yeah, which I have to say, like, that it's a weird tidbit, but like, the average US dollar amount of a crypto donation, compared to a normal dollar amount of donations, $10,000 typically when it's crypto. If somebody's donating crypto, it's usually not a small amount. That's
Wow.
that's that's one crazy little tidbit. But anyway,
Okay.
that's a deviation for sure.
Well, maybe not. I need to add some Bitcoin payment options for Gravity Kit.
Nice. Well, let's wrap it up. We are getting close to top of the hour, and every single episode we conclude by giving our best advice. And think of it like elevator conversation, real quick, elevator pitch. Somebody's like, Nathan, I got to figure out my positioning. What am I going to do? You got 3 sentences to give them your best advice, Nathan. What is it?
I guess I would focus on clarity and not like worry about mentioning competitors or anything. I think the best thing for Simply Schedule appointments has been to say Calendly, but in WordPress, like the exact target customer that we're positioned for wants their solution in WordPress. So like mentioning Calendly isn't a bad thing. And even if it was, it's such a shortcut because it's so ubiquitous that people understand it. I think that's the right move. Just trying to get as much clarity as you can in as few words as possible.
Absolutely. Love it. Zach, what about you?
I recommend this book, Building a Story Brand. It helps guide you through thinking about things in your business through your customers' eyes and understanding what their objections are and how you would target addressing those objections. That also is it's a lot of work coming up with positioning and like who you are, what you build, why you build it, who it's for, what you price it, who are your competitors. Having a framework is really helpful. So even if it's not this book, buy a book, download some course. I don't care. Have a framework to help you think through this because it is complicated stuff.
Love it. That's a great recommendation.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, for me, I got sidetracked. I had it. What was my best advice? Zach pulled me away with that great recommendation. I was like, I need to read Story Brand again. Hold on. I got it. Focus on outcomes. Position yourself around the success you're looking for in your customer. And I think that will pave everything that you need to pave in one way or another. It's similar to what Nathan was saying. It's not about like this tool, but in this context, or this not like this competitor, but like this thing. Focus the way you position yourself around the success that you want to see in your ideal customer.
And all you got to do is buy that product, and your life is going to get easier.
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't really cover, but Matt just brought up for me, is that I think there is one kind of positioning that's very vertical, which I think your customer, they're trying, they're a nonprofit, they're trying to raise donations. And so you really can position much more on success and outcomes. And I think there's other tools like Zack's Gravity Kit, right? It's more utility and more horizontal across industries. Like it could be any industry in the world. And so you have to really position around that activity, around the job that it does that's at a small level. And the same thing for us with BlinkMetrics, custom reporting dashboards. Like we're usually working with like a director of operations, but it can be a construction company, it can be a SaaS business, it can be a WordPress plugin owner, it could be anybody. And so we really have tried to position on that job, like that activity.
I think that's a good point. I mean, there are different ways that we serve customers in different ways, but there is still that job to be done. I like what you were circling in on there, and I think maybe that's a more refined way to say what I was trying to say. Is like maybe not the success of that customer, but like the outcome of the job to be done in that circumstance, because that applies to both circumstances.
Yeah,
for sure. That's a good one. Refinement. Cool. Well, this was great. Thanks so much, Nathan. Where can folks find you online?
BlinkMetrics.com or nsquared.io will also have the WordPress plugins and everything else we do.
Love it.
Cool. Well, everybody, if you're enjoying these shows, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button in YouTube. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, so please help us reach that goal. It's the most free and most easy way you can support our work. So please subscribe. Special thanks again to Freemius, and thank you to Freemius for their support.
Yeah. And next week, we are on hiatus, and hopefully you are too. Happy holidays to everybody. Watch our blog for announcements for our next season, which is going to kick off in January. We're going to have a full 6-week schedule of some awesome speakers, which are yet to be determined. So if you want to be on Product Talk, hit us up online. And if you have any great feature requests for us in terms of topics, we are listening, and we are positioning ourselves around you. So see what I did there? Pun intended. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.